All right, this is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth, and I wanted to go ahead and unpack some things for you today. Artificial intelligence lies. How about that? I'm going to flip this on around, show you the sun approaching today. You know, not only does artificial intelligence lie, people lie. Of course, I've lied, told things that weren't true, weren't real. And when we look at deception, one of the things that makes deception so powerful and effective is that it's intermingled with a certain amount of accurate or truthful information. So with the law of non-contradiction, when you look at information and they aren't consistent, in other words, somebody's lying. When I asked Siri what my elevation was, and I'm sitting across from a friend at a Starbucks, and Siri says I'm at 20 feet. My compass reading said I'm at 26, and he had a 17-foot reading or something like that. We get different readings. AI lies. Now that isn't maybe apparently a big deal to you, or it might be. If the equipment on an aircraft is giving a false reading, that could be a big problem for somebody. We've had very important individuals that have been killed on planes that crashed into mountains. How does that happen? Could be operating under false information, corrupt data. So I tweeted back to Elon Musk. He was talking about his space adventures, his science fiction, and I tweeted back. You can see it on my page if you like. I took a screenshot of it. Never did that before. Took a screenshot of Elon's tweet, my response, put it up there. All I had was a bunch of blue hashtags. Titles, you can read them if you care to. So when what somebody says doesn't reflect reality, I'm calling them out on it. That water is demonstrably flat. So one of the hashtags was stationary level Earth. It's what it is. It's not moving. So what I'm going to do right now is just take my camera here and show you two water jugs. One has condensation on the outside, the other does not. It's the water cycle of the world shown up in front of us. Temperature differentials cause the water to condense and then precipitate. We've got a firmament up above the Earth. That's gonna hinder any supposed space adventures. How about that? Yeah, how about that? So I'm calling him out on that. When the theoretical physicists and scientists and astronauts and presidents of the United States or business magnates like Elon, I hope you're watching. I hope you see what that is. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody just have a hashtag tweet back. I mean, it's probably been done. Not like I do it, because I've got videos with my hashtags. Videos where I talk about it, including Elon Musk lies. Yeah, that's what I do. I'm calling them out on it. They're lying and I ain't buying. Why does it matter? People are basing their eternity on a false assumption, on a false information appearing real. That's what fear is. Or it's an acronym for it, could be. And then deception is real evidence, truth appearing false. Wow. It's just what it is. Water seeks its level all over the face of the earth, whether it's the tidal area here with the tide going out. The tide's going to go out for about another 5.5 hours or so. It's just what it's doing. It's just what it does. That's what water does. I had somebody tweet back, so on my water seeks level, what force is it that causes that? I just put hashtag reality. It's what it does. Reality exposes the global deception. It's just what it does. Exposes the global lie. So even as simple as this water seeking its level, or all the condensate running out of my car. I could put a recovery bottle on there. That's all the moisture from the cabin of my car. Imagine if you were driving across the desert and you didn't have any water. Well, when you stop, shut the car off, you could let it drain down. Or you could have a condensate bottle inside the car. It would recover some of that. Invent it if you want. It maybe already exists. It's I'll be probably marketing some survival and prep products, or at least ideas and videos. How to take a piece of recyclable glass and turn it into a distiller, a water distiller. Even the jug itself, even my 1 gallon jug, I could do that. So what I want to show you is that even though the car is slanted, the water will be flat and level. There would be no level anywhere in the world if it were spinning, wobbling, and gyrating. Yeah, it's not happening. Not at all. So that's part of the evidence, is the water. You know, people right away will jump to, in the discussion of the shape of the earth, well, where's the edge? Why isn't all the water falling off? And those are all important questions. There's a firmament that is like a containment area that, at least that's what the Bible says. Now, I believe the Bible is God's word. It's real, reliable. You're looking at a new man, a changed man. I'm not the drug addict, alcoholic that I used to be. And more. I used my own self-effort to try and accomplish the impossibility of biblical obedience, because the Holy Spirit needs to do what I can't do. I just can't do it. None of us can. None of us can be good enough to satisfy the requirements that God has for salvation. So even if you figure out a whole bunch of this stuff, even if you figure out some of the kaleidoscope of conspiracies that are real. Keep in mind, 2 kids stealing a bicycle is a conspiracy. What is it when artificial intelligence hijacks the collective consciousness of humanity? And if you think I'm talking some new age stuff because I use the word consciousness, you might want to see what it is. Or when I use the word cybernetic, just like Elon does, cybernetic collective. Well, we're integrating technology in our relationships with humanity. So I'm getting ready. Elon Musk has a tweet about his science fiction adventures, and I think, well, I'm going to go ahead and cut my hair with my Flowbee, trim it up a little bit, and wear my coat, take a therapeutic soak, tweet back. I'm walking around tweeting back my answer. I've been filling the reservoir of my content for a long time. I'm not embarrassed by it. I hope you're not. I'm on the street, on the beach, on the internet, all around the world, 24/7. There's more viewing of what I do than I am alive right now, as far as I can tell, looking at my analytics. AI knows exactly. So artificial intelligence is smart, or knows a lot of data. Omniscience, omniscience, as it's spelt, is an attribute of God. He knows it all. He's a know-it-all. Yeah, he knows it all and he controls it all, either by causing or allowing it. That creates in some a problem with evil. How does that? What do we do with that? Well, I accept the reality or the belief that God is in charge. He's large and in charge. I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. When I hashtag local sun, they may think, what the heck is the local sun? Well, it's pretty close. Job 37 says it's in the clouds. Do you know what percent the moon is today from this vantage point in South Carolina? 77% at moonrise and moonset. You can look at the numbers if you want to. I'm a photographic journalist amongst other things. And what I have is information for you to consider. Where the sun and the moon appear and vanish on the horizon from a given perspective, and their duration of visibility is inconsistent with the official narrative of NASA in the heliocentric, sun-worshipping, Greek god Apollo mission, Greek god planet names, and all that. They're lying about all this stuff. So when I hashtag NASA lies, oh well. I think what ended up happening is all my content got put down a digital dirt road. You can see it. Some will see it. The people that are in the know. Whether Elon Musk knows that he saw me, if he's watched any the major flat Earth releases, I'm in it, whether he knows it or not. Hey, Elon, how you doing? I'd be happy to talk with you, Joe Rogan, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, Donald Trump, and the Space Force. You're lying, and I ain't buying. Calling you all out on it. Whoever lies. Who's lying? Well, a lot of people do. I have, like I said. Telling the truth now, I'm calling these people out. But it's not just people. And I've got content to show even like epic rap battles of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. It's hilarious. And for years, even back to the days of the emperors and our modern day comedians, they would, running the span of time, they would make fun of our enslavement by causing us to laugh at it. Isn't that something? Think of the different comedians. Well, it's just part of the reality of how things work. We laugh at things that we find to be true, sometimes tragic. So what is the truth, and how will you know when it's right in front of you? And I don't just mean my truth shirt, like I know everything. I don't. What I've made a concerted effort to do for quite some time is to find out the truth and then share that with anybody who will listen, friends, family. There's a veritable kaleidoscope of conspiracy. Think about it. I've hashtagged that title. Have you looked through a kaleidoscope? A lot of reflections all around, beautiful colors. It's not real. It'd be hard to operate a vehicle with a kaleidoscope on each eye. Well, rather than that, I would rather help remove the veil by presenting accurate information through documentaries, my proclamation and changed life that's willing to do whatever God wants me to do. Yeah, so I'm not auditioning for any salaried positions with any major network. They wouldn't want me. And I'm not asking you for money. I do this as much as I can around the clock because there's the digital me that people love and hate. Not a whole lot of middle ground. A lot of people don't know who I am. One of the reasons why I'm encouraging people to hashtag my name is it puts it up in the ranks, and even if they take down my YouTube channel, shut me down for hate speech or something, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, all of that. All of that can get taken down. If I was thinking about it today, if I were offered, let's say $2.3 trillion, the amount that the Budget Analyst Office found missing in the Pentagon, on September 10th, Donald Rumsfeld went public with that. Well, we had September 11th, and that investigation just never went anywhere, right? We've got documentaries about that. If somebody were to offer me $2.3 trillion to just shut up and enjoy life, go ahead and take down, like Patricia Steere, gone digitally, as far as I know. One of the main figureheads in a lot of the false information that's being presented about the flat Earth movement or the flat Earth. And I don't know what the story is there exactly. I don't know what the truth of all that is. However, if I was given, let's say, all the money in the world to pull the plug on my social media and my face-to-face exposing the reality, I wouldn't do it. Because what will it, Jesus says to everybody forever, what will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? What's that worth? Priceless. Christ paid a price none of us could pay. Now, at some time, I may jump on over to the, I think it's about time. Time for me to zoom in on what's going on right up in the sky with the P1000. Take a lot of photos. I'll hashtag local sun on this one again too, because it's going to punch up through the clouds there. There's the hot spot right in the middle. You'll be, for those of you watching the non-magnified Facebook or YouTube video, I've got a lot of local sun occurrences. I've had the opportunity to capture what I believe to be right now one of the most viewed videos of its kind about the local sun. Moving over the stationary Earth. The sun, moon, and stars move above the stationary Earth. That's just the reality of it. It's not slicing through yet. It will, and I'm not saying I know how it works exactly, because I don't. I don't have all the answers. I just have a new life in Christ, a passion, purpose, an eternal perspective, and the power to do what I previously could not do, and the pleasure to enjoy it all in the midst of substantial opposition. Significant. Those of you who are telling the truth probably are very well aware of that. It's what happens. People may give lip service to loving the truth. Do they really? Do they really? And that's a question. One of my friends was commented on a post that I did, showing Jim Carrey mentioning that they were lying about the moon landing, that fish story, and they're buying it. How much truth does Jim Carrey have? I don't know. He's giving a whole lot of devil Illuminati signs, Satan signs, liar, all kinds of stuff like that. However, it's not necessarily over for Jim yet, as far as I know. However, we're all eternal beings having a temporary human experience. In this human experience, all the children of God will absolutely be born of His Spirit. So, 3 people per second no longer having their human experience, does that include that's annually, that's about 58 million a year. Does that include the 42 million abortions worldwide? I don't think so. I don't think those are factored in. all the lighting of this would be radically different if the sun were 93 million miles away. I've got so much evidence of it. I'm gonna take us up right over here, and I want to zoom in on this little patch of clams that are showing up. Now, maybe you didn't see it earlier. I know I didn't. It just showed up. And I'll zoom in on it. That's how precision the water going out is. You can see all the turbulence on top by the aerodynamics, the airflow going around the grass and that. I'm going to zoom in here and show you the building a bit better. And then over the top of that, the level of those clams, and then the water flowing out. It's all very precision. Right on the other side of those buildings is the open ocean. It's right there. In fact, I'm going to zoom in on the Prince Resort. Right there. Right in front of that is the Cherry Grove Fishing Pier. Done a lot of video out there. Wanted to establish location. No computer trickery. No photoshopping. And that Sun in the Cloud, local sun video by Infinite Earth, I've had people say, Photoshop. All right, well, go ahead and go over to my channel if you want to. And you can see a whole lot of occurrences of the sun appearing in the midst of the clouds. Some of them where I'm not talking. Some of them that friends of mine have put together and put music to them. Yeah, how about that? How about that? All that flat water. What's the force that causes that water to do that? Well, you could look at buoyancy, B-U-O-Y-A-N-C-Y. It's the tendency of heavier, more dense objects to drop out of a lighter surroundings, media, whether it's the water, whether it's the air, whatever it is. So people can argue about it. The big G in the Masonic gravity lie. I'm just outing that whole thing. Why not? You got nothing better to do but tell the truth, expose the deeds of darkness, and proclaim the gospel to the ends of the earth around the clock, leveraging worldwide instantaneous portable communications and wanting to also encourage others to do the same. That's a big deal. It's not just what I do, it's what my friends do along with me. That's the important and powerful reality of all this. So now, because of a wind direction change, the whole reflection of the building over here is very different. Aerodynamics, hydrodynamics, fluid dynamics. Do you know how much a gallon of water weighs? It depends. It depends on the temperature. The temperature changes the volume and density of water. It's what drives the whole hydrologic cycle. The water cycle. If you don't know the meaning of a word, you may want to look it up. That's what I did as a child. I'm not talking down to anybody. I'm serious. If you don't know the meaning of a word, you might want to just explore it, see how it's spelled, and like buoyancy, a lot of people don't know how to spell it. What I wanted to point out too is that whenever there's a neurolinguistic relationship between artificial intelligence and alien, for whatever reason, when I say artificial intelligence, they say, you believe in aliens? Like I'm a whack job? Well, yeah, well, according to a lot of people, I'm a whack job. That works good for them, because then they can just ignore everything I'm saying. That's what people do. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says to everybody, forever, they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. So God is going to help people believe the lie that they want to believe, apparently. That's what I get from that. That's my takeaway on that. So now in just a couple of minutes, my recording with the P1000 will end. And just in the short amount of time, in a few minutes, there's another inch or so of water that went out. Can see the clams now squirting the water out of them. That's what they do. You won't be able to see that on the non-magnified view. This is taking a closer look at it. The channel name I used to have was different. I called it Eternal Perspective. I started out with the name of the channel being Robert Forsch. And I've gone back to hashtagging that, not to say necessarily look at me, it's look at what I have to show you. That's why I do that. Because it's important. Don't you believe that? Wouldn't it be best to make your decisions that affect your eternity on the truth? Reality and truth, I believe, are interchangeable. So my P1000 recording ended. My battery ran out. That was kind of interesting. And so what I'm going to do is just grab another one. That makes the most sense. I'm going to let you just take a look at this, and I'll be right back. All right, so I started another recording with the P1000, and so some of this is just to give markers, audio markers on There's going to be 3 videos come from this, at least. The P1000, the live Facebook that'll be out there, and then when I convert that to a YouTube video as well, I download it and upload it. It reaches a whole other audience. When I go live on Facebook, there's a notification potentially to the almost 2 billion subscribers. I just, according to YouTube, I have 2,000 subs now, subscribers. And then on Facebook, if I've made all my comments on my public posts, which everything I post is public, anybody can comment right now. So if you see some real trouble out there, you can give me a phone call if you want to. But the thing of it is, on a given day, I may get it's pretty average for me to get over 1,000 or around 1,000 notifications or more on all the different activity, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, and I'm trying to keep up with it, but I can't. I'm not gonna, as far as I can tell right now, I'm not automating with a chat bot. If I have like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, if I decide to market some products, like for example, steel reinforced concrete construction, homes, building material, 3D panel, battery auxiliary systems like lithium to power up a house, that's all something that, those are high ticket prices, not little cell phone cases. Elon Musk has a pretty interesting company with his solar products and doing that. One of the things that he does is has solar panels matched with a lithium power pack. And then what ends up happening with that is that there's tax credits. Well, that means that somebody else is working to pay for that. Who is that? But see, we all pay for the taxation and the inflation by the devaluing, the decreasing purchasing power of our money, so-called money, and the digital worldwide Ponzi scheme that the world central bank and financial system is. I'm outing all that too. With over 2,600 videos that I've got on my liked videos, I cover that, the world central bank, the Ponzi scheme that it is. And I'm connected with a lot of truth tellers all over the world that are, and they may not have the ultimate truth. I believe Christ Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. You may know him as Yeshua, Yahweh, the Alpha and Omega, the great I am, the Almighty One, the Most Holy, the Most High. Goes by a lot of names and titles. He's the creator of this world that we live in. I'm not an earth worshiper. I'm just a child of God that's actually born again, and I want to tell people about that. So if you know what happened with me, I knew what I should do, and I didn't have the power to do it. Or at least I believed I knew what I should do. In that, obeying God as best I could with what I knew, and I couldn't. I just couldn't. I didn't have the strength. I didn't have the power. So when there was a new power and a new nature given me, well, he changed me. That changed everything. So those angled rays of the sun are called crepuscular rays. And the sun will shoot through the clouds like that at angles, indicating the location of the light source. So I'm not, what flat earth model do I have? Well, it's the biblical one. The stationary earth, the moving sun, moon, and stars moving above. That's it. It's not exactly a particular map and model that's mainstream. I would have no way of confirming their accuracy, just to be clear on that. How could I know? I'm not a cartographer, a map builder, map maker. Now I think I'm looking at the top of a clam bed showing up. Right there. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to back out, let you see where that is. And that'll be more pronounced later. Now over here we can see the reflections are all different because of airflow and the elevation change of the water. I'll zoom into this clam bed. It dropped down another inch or so. So what I encourage people to do is to go ahead and if you're able to, get out and enjoy some of the beauty and majesty of creation. And so some of the clues will be photography and videography from all around the world showing the beauty and majesty of creation. That's pretty spectacular right there. One of my cover photos was the open ocean, the sunrise, and then just the beautiful mirror that it was that day. You can see it. I've got thousands of photos on my photo album on Facebook, and I've got some on Google, Google Photos and that. One of the huge challenges is managing all the content and then all the interactions. So I post quite a bit, and that's probably got me unfollowed from a lot of people. That's okay. I don't mind. I'm certainly not doing this for the popularity, certainly not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I care, want people to know the reality of this as best I can tell. So I really do appreciate my friends and family all over the earth sharing and encouraging. I get calls at any given time of the day or night. What time is it? It depends on where we're talking about. Here or wherever. So this is a sea level liquid mirror that you're looking at. I hashtag that quite a bit. And sea level. I want people to see level. So seeing is believing. What? What do we see and what do we believe? One of the videos I recently posted, I've liked it before. It's beautiful music and showing the sun over the top of the clouds, and then that channel will show space imaginations and stuff. A lot of people are really interested in that fantasy, the Star Wars, the Star Trek, the Lost in Space. Elon Musk encouraging people to sell their homes and move to Mars. Really? Not buying that. I'm not buying sending a Tesla Roadster into space either, landing booster rockets back down on launch pads because they're so expensive. Come on. I hope you're not buying that. Yeah, so when we look at information and it doesn't reflect the reality. What are we going to do with that? What will we do? I got a short video, like about 7 seconds long, 7-8 seconds long, shows the globe spinning with the water flying off over there at the walkout. Oh well, some people just think that's crazy. Well, it's the reality. That's just what water does. You know, the disconnect, a lot of people say, well, if you don't believe gravity is real, just go jump off a balcony. Hello, I'm more dense than the air around me, I would fall. Not going to do it. That's stupid. Stupid example. Next. We don't have a force that causes that big imaginary gravity force that people whip out when they think they got us. What about the water that flies off a tennis ball, a globe spinning like mine? What about that? Hey, Bob, how about you cue up the spinning water sphere from space? Let's see that video. Let's see that real-time live video of that spinning, hurling orb, water orb going through space. Oh, the globe exists. Oh yeah, only in the imagination. That's where it is, because artificial intelligence lies. It's not just Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. The major corporations of the world, I don't know what their place in this whole thing actually is for them personally. You don't really think Mark Zuckerberg was eating ramen noodles and trying to figure out how to create the largest self-assembling data mining system in the world, do you? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his story is. I don't know how many of them there are, Mark Zuckerbergs or Elon Musks. Are there? We know they cloned a sheep. They said that, Dolly the sheep. I've got video on my channel that talk about the transpocalypse. It's transhumanism, transgendering. If those words sound weird to you and you don't know what they mean, you might want to look into it. Transhumanism involves the merging of man and machine. Transgendering involves more than the freak show of Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce/Caitlyn Jenner. That's so bizarre and weird. And even weirder still is parents that alter their children and babies and all of that from birth, before birth, after birth. It's weird. Did you know what's going on? You know, Charlize Theron parading her, whatever she's making this little child into. Lots of money and lots of deception. What about that? What do we do with that when we see that? Is that loving for me to point out that they're transgendering, the Satanists of this world that are practicing their godless, Luciferian, evil religion and forcing it on humanity? I'll just tell on them. Yeah, how about that? So I don't know how long my digital footprint will be up there. AI could take it down just like that. Only if God allows it. Isn't that special? So when I said this earlier on a video that isn't being I'm saying this again for another video. I wouldn't trade all the money in the world for shutting up about this. What would it profit a man if he gained the whole world and lose his soul? Yeah, priceless. So I've got a lot of evidence as far as I'm concerned, enough evidence for me to know we're not on a globe. So I've had a conversation go like this. Somebody will say, "So you believe we live on a flat Earth?" And I'll say, "Well, it's not exactly flat. We've got mountains over 5.5 miles tall. I know it's stationary and the sun, moon, and stars move above it. So you're a flat earther?" "Well, I'm a biblical creationist." Pressed a little further, I'd say, "Well, I know we don't live on a globe." "Oh, we're done here. I don't want you talking to my kids." And part of what happens with that, and when I've already talked to his daughter at the beach. Maybe he's watching now, I don't know. But people all over the world will see me and decide they want to look further. They'll see other people in this truth movement, a lot of different names. I hadn't even really thought to fashion what I do after what somebody else is doing. Not that it might not have some merit or benefit. I just wanted to do what I believed God wanted me to do, wants me to do. So in James, God through James writes, there's one author of Scripture, says, if we don't do the good we know we ought to, we sin. And then in Romans, the Apostle Paul wrote, inspired by God, same author, God, writes where he's wanting us to think about, should we eat meat or drink wine or not? Anything that's not of faith is sin. So there's a whole lot of legalism in religious practices. There's a veritable spiritual smorgasbord inundating humanity, and a virtual one. There's a church of AI. Sam Harris talks about, you know what, we need to control this thing. So we're creating a God. We might as well make it a God we can live with. Think you can create your God? People do. In fact, the God that most people have is their reflection in the mirror. They're in charge of their own actions as far as they are aware, what they think. And what happens is there's a point in time where when I would look in the mirror and realize that I wasn't living consistent with how I believed I should live. Why couldn't I do what I believe I should do? I didn't have the power. I had the awareness that lying and stealing and taking illegal drugs was wrong and sin. Couldn't stop it in my own strength. So I talk about that, talk about more. I'm going to zoom in on that. So part of the challenge with this is creating the content to show people the world we live in, and then to try and help interact with others, help us all to learn how to ignore the haters, the people that are disrespecting and hateful, and largely it's an intellectual structure people put in their life to rationalize their perspective, to make it believable to them. Oh, that's a crazy guy, so I don't need to consider anything he's saying. So even when Jim Carrey is outing the moon landing and has obvious Illuminati involvement, Satan doesn't always lie. NASA doesn't always lie. They're telling the truth when they teach pilots to fly fixed-wing aircraft over a stationary, non-rotating, assumed flat level plane. Yeah. Well, you know what? If you're sweeping the floor and you're a janitor, you don't really need to know. If you're sitting in the cockpit of a SR-71 that can go 2,193 miles an hour, and you're doing that, you need to know if the earth beneath you is spinning or curved, or else you're going to end out in space. It means you could fly cross country in just a little more than an hour. Supposedly, according to spherical trigonometry, 8 inches per mile squared, you can look it up at earthcurvature.com, that would mean there's over 650 miles of curvature in North America from coast to coast. It's not there. In Kansas, it's flatter than a pancake. You can look it up. Texas, there's a lot of flatness. I've driven from coast to coast. I averaged 55 miles per gallon with a modified diesel Volkswagen. When I got to 5 to 7% grades, the mountains, the Smokies and Rockies, my fuel economy would drop down to 10, 12 miles per gallon. So I could tell because I had a computer estimating system. And then ultimately I looked at the odometer with the miles driven, the fuel consumed, and it all checked out. And that was a decade ago when I was driving out there to get high on marijuana. Go out to California and get high. Yeah, I don't need to do any of that now. So it's pretty interesting. Rather than, God is not a cosmic killjoy, taking the pleasure out of life. He actually gives me a desire to do what He created me to do. So I get to do what I want because He put that want to do what He created me to do. Yeah, isn't that special? So the rippled water creates a bit of a matte finish, and then because of the aerodynamics, the way the air moves over the water, we'll see a glossier look. The water towers aren't just water towers. They're all rigged up with communications, electronics. Down below, they typically will have standby generators. The 3D panel construction that I talked about, I'm going to break it down a little bit, and it's on my liked videos. You can check it out if you want. It takes roughly 50% of the energy to climate control. That's the biggest single energy expense typically in a household, is maintaining a comfortable living environment inside. And the other thing is it's impervious to wildfires. Now if you put windows in, you can put super energy efficient windows that can withstand some fire temporarily, and wind over 100 miles an hour. But if you wanted to have a veritable fortress and not have windows, you could have closed circuit TV. If you want to create it used to be in the 50s or so, during some of the 40s, I think it was, especially, people would have bomb shelters. You could you could create a really comfortable habitat above ground that's energy efficient, looks nice, and basically is a fortress. So I'm looking into that, wanting to make that available to people that want to buy it. It's not going to be for everybody. You know, if you're waiting tables at a soup, you know, or you're just trying to figure out how to make ends meet, it might not be for you. But there are people that I'm connected with on Facebook, YouTube, and that watch me that might be interested in what I found out. So I did a lot of research on steel reinforced concrete construction, found out that the 3D panel was a panel system that was created by EVG, or they created the wire welding machine that would work with that. Got a friend who owned a factory in North Charleston that created those systems, created the panels. So if you had a steel reinforced concrete home with a battery system and solar and a standby generator and a place to grow food inside if you wanted to, create oxygen to breathe, all that. I'm bathing in purified drinking water, reverse osmosis, carbon filtered, because it matters. It matters. We're, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 70% water. The earth is covered by about 70% water, we're told. How would I know for sure? There's a lot of water. I know that. I've seen it. So all my contact information is public. I make it available so people can reach out and call me. And I really appreciate you watching, liking, and sharing. Please explore my YouTube channel, Truth, the liked video playlist. I cover a lot of content. You can just hashtag copy and paste any links you want me to review, and I'll get to them when I can. A lot of the links that I'm sent, I already have liked videos of, just so you know. So this is Robert Forsch, the YouTube channel Truth, and my phone number is 1-843-504-1776. If you want the YouTube Truth stickers, I make them available. You can send me a self-addressed stamped envelope, and you could send it to Robert Forsch or YouTube Truth at 169 Cloverleaf Drive, Longs, South Carolina 29568. And you can call me anytime. Thank you so much.